Welcome to the very first episode of the NZ Property Ladder podcast. I am your host, Jean, and today I have a very exciting guest in the studio today, Frazer MJ, who is the #1 agent in the Ray White office in Remuera. Welcome, Frazer. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Jean.
That's all right. Well, this is very exciting. We actually work together.
We do.
We do. Yeah. So we started working together maybe, how long has it been?
Couple months.
Couple of months.
Yep.
We've done some pretty good stuff, haven't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell us about yourself and how you got into real estate.
Yeah, that's a good looking question. So I got into real estate 7.5 years ago. I got into it after having my own business in the fashion industry for about 15 years. My parents come from an antique dealing, interior design and flipping background. It was actually something they wanted me to get into when I was much younger, but at the time I didn't have much interest in getting into real estate. I was very different back then. And so I found myself in a position after selling my business and not knowing what to do, having always been in the sales of like luxury goods and sort of the sales versus creative space. It just made sense to get into real estate.
I know that in the past 4 years, you've been, one of the top agents in the area, despite the fact that the office you work out of is in Central Auckland.
Yeah, that's a good looking question, Jane. The way that people have discovered their new home with the digital revolution has massively changed. So the whole traditional format of the local corner real estate office with a couple of people in there next to the dairy with their half a dozen sort of listings is not really the way that people anymore are seeing their first home. The internet has opened up a huge pool of fantastic resources where people find their new home. So really what buyers and sellers are looking for is the confidence around who they're buying from. For sellers, it's having huge amounts of reach. We are seeing real estate effectively turn into a couple of just really big companies that are having a really big market share. And I think you see that in most industries, if I'm being honest. Why we have been so successful in the Hobsonville area is that we bring the data and the resources of the largest office in Australasia across all brands out to an area where effectively in the past, the real estate process might have been a little bit too traditional. So bringing out that, that top level real estate activities, the good processes, an office that is running 68 brokers with 274,000 buyers in its database, 40,000 weekly subscribers to our newsletter, and just having this massive reach has really actually put our vendors in a position where we can put them in front of more people in a more timely fashion, open their property up to a larger buyer pool than if they were just marketed exclusively to the local buyers market. Some of the best deals we've done this year to date, 56 Bond Point Drive, the waterfront apartments, the Picnic Point waterfront properties, all the high nets, all been purchased from out of area buyers. In one instance, they had never been to Hobsonville Point before coming to the open home. But seeing it through our social media platforms, seeing it advertised through NZME, through One Roof, through print, meant that they found their dream home in an area they weren't even considering.
I know that one of the sales that we've done in April was 2x4 Mardi Mardi. It's a unique property, especially in the market that was really saturated at that time. 3-story apartment with just a staircase, there's no elevator. And we sold that in 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, well, effectively, it's sort of coming back to what I sort of said recently. That property, that was a bit of a unique situation because one of our vendors was actually worked in real estate. So they really understood the process. And it kind of does show how important a vendor's role has in their own success. But effectively, even though we had stiff competition with that one, there were literally 2 properties across the road on the market, 4 further down on that side as well, was that the property just really looked fantastic online. So that started with the presentation. It was very, very engaging, well marketed, good video, good photography, all the right things, a great presentation. But apart from that, when the buyer came across the radar, we have a process where we don't let the buyer go effectively. Early on assessing that they have great interest in the property, going back to them promptly, nurturing the buyer, helping them through the process. Once again, first home buyers, there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of things they don't sort of know. They get quite nervous. And so always be helping. That does help the process. So when that buyer came across our radar, obviously you helped them that as well. We assessed that they had interest. We kept them close. We then just guide them through the process. The subsequent repeat viewings help as well. It's really important if you're a seller to make sure that you have really good access to your property. You also have a really good controlled environment because buyers will come back several times. And every time they come back, it needs to make the strong impression and then to effectively fall in love with it. With that buyer, after a couple of viewings, coming seeing it at the open home and then in the evening and the morning and all that sort of thing, and assessing, right, they've done all the diligence they need to do at this point. It's then just helping them onto paper, getting the whole process moving forward. There's not enough of that, probably. Obviously, some campaigns have lots of people through, but there's not enough actually inducing the buyer onto paper.
That's really insightful. That was really insightful. As you know, I worked with a lot of agents, and
I'm pulling faces here, sorry, Jane.
It's all right. Each agent that I worked with have been really good at what they do. They follow through the process, gets it sold in like a month. But when I helped you sell that property, get involved in the process, it was really eye-opening to see, we only had like how many people through the open home? Like 2 people?
Couple of people.
A couple of people. Yeah. Had a couple of people, and out of those couple of people, we had one buyer just really, really wanted it, and it was the first-time buyer.
Yeah, well, I mean, you only really need one good buyer. It's all about the conversion rate. So there's a saying in business, turnover is vanity, profit is sanity. Effectively, it's all good to have these really robust campaigns with dozens and dozens and dozens of people through, but really the agenda is to present the property well and identify the right buyer. The right buyer is always the standout. I call them the meerkat. In real estate, you go through, open home after open home, callbacks after callbacks. You're meeting a vast amount of people, and it seems like there's a bit of a desert. And then every so often, the right person just pops up, like a little meerkat in the desert. And you go, there's the buyer. And when you identifying that person is very, very, very important. I was talking to a buyer just this morning, actually, and they said their experience going to another open home because of their age and how that they were judged by the person as they approached. They weren't engaged with, actually, in the slightest. And we do find that's a problem in real estate. Never know who your buyer is going to be. Treat everybody with respect. Give everybody good service. Give them that Louis Vuitton showroom service. This is not selling a sweatshirt at Kmart. You're trying to sell luxury goods, whether it is a $700,000 2-bedroom unit or a $7 million house in Remuera. That is that person's most important thing. That's their dream, that's their castle, that's their future. Really looking after people, always be helping, always looking after people. That actually is probably the most impactful thing you can do.
That was really, really good. I'm definitely going to think about that when I'm doing open homes or doing viewings or talking to a buyer. I guess my last question is, right now, fast forward to today, and I know that in summer, autumn has been really busy. There's been a lot of activity, but, winter is finally here and the market has just cooled, especially in Hobsonville.
Yeah, I mean, the real estate market has cooled down a little bit, actually across Auckland. We generally get that this time of year as we kind of have the transitional, season into winter. Kids' sports start as well. A lot of people are busy with the kids' rugby on Saturday morning. But you should come to the open homes in the afternoons. But look, there has been a lot of confusion. There's a lot of things happening in the real estate market at the moment. Obviously, we have new CVs that are about to be published. We've also got record numbers of stock. So if we talk about Auckland overall, at one point we had a 13-year high of stock. But new listings are, that's fresh to market, ones that are just coming on now. Super valuable properties, they are cooling down, drastically. There's been a little bit of buyer reluctance to transact because of that wait and see mentality. They know that CVs are going to be coming out, and they're coming out next week. There's been a lot of miscommunication around that. At one point, council talking about reducing them, and then they came out a couple of weeks ago saying that they're going to come up 5%, and now they've officially said they are going to come down. We have seen, obviously, subsequent OCR decreases. Potentially a lot of buyers are waiting for more decreases before they lock in their mortgage rate. However, that doesn't really stack because, you want to buy the property you like when you see it. Our projection for the year ahead is probably more of the same. I don't think the market is going to get better or worse. I think it's a nice stable market. A lot of people that we're dealing with at the moment are utilizing this market to transact, so to buy and sell. When you're buying and selling the same market, it doesn't matter. In fact, it makes more sense to buy and sell in a stable market, in a relatively flat market, than it is in a strong market. Because when you sell in a strong market, you do get a premium for your house, but you also pay a premium for the one you buy. Warren Buffett said you make money when you buy real estate, not sell it. So what's our projection? I think people are going to continue to hold back through June, July, through winter, waiting for a change that's probably not going to come. And then because people do obviously all kind of have a herd mentality a little bit, they all kind of tend to do the same thing at the same time. We'll probably start to see a flurry of buyer activity through August again. However, personally, I would be buying now. So my recommendation to anybody that is thinking of especially getting onto the real estate ladder is that this is a fantastic time to buy. OCR rates have come down. They're the best they've been since early 2022. House prices have obviously stabilized quite some, so there's a lot of confidence there. Interesting to see what the new CVs will do to the real estate market when they come out next week. I just checked mine. So you might want to do if you're a homeowner. But at the same time, experienced buyers have known for a long time there is no correlation between CV and what something is worth. The best buyer always has a very subjective opinion of what any property is worth, and that's effectively what our job is. So interesting to see what comes in the immediate future. However, there are some great options out there, and I think buyers should definitely be transacting.
So Frazer, I know that we have very exciting properties coming onto the market. Can you share a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. June, July is going to be a fantastic month to put these on the market once again because new stock levels are generally lower in June, July. We have got literally something for everybody. So we've got a large 5-bedroom family home right down by the marina area of West Harbour, which is going to be incredibly popular. We have got that quintessential, Hobsonville Point first home buyer goodie, which is a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom end terraced house. Those are always popular. And then for the month of June, we're going a little bit out of area. We're going to be actually marketing a stunning 5-bedroom renovated villa in Remuera, actually, at the request of one of our colleagues to come and sell their home, which we're very excited about that as well. And then we're going to be working on a brick and tile unit. Brick and tile units at the moment are incredibly popular. They're a bit of a quintessential kind of character property, real bit of Kiwiana. And they have probably been the most robust typology in Auckland the last couple of months. So some great stuff that's coming on for sure.
That is very exciting. Well, thank you so much, Frazer, for sharing, amazing insight into the real estate market, especially in Hobsonville. Well, that's it, guys. Thank you so much, and thank you
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming here and having a conversation with me. If you like this episode, hit follow, share it with everyone that you know, and keep your eyes peeled because we have more coming. Well, thanks so much, guys. I'm Jean. I'm your host at NZ Property Ladder Podcast, and I'll see you soon.